So it has been what I would call a spell since I spoke um, into one of these one-way phone conversations that is my sort of sometimes YouTube channel. Because my focus was elsewhere. I was writing an album and I was then perfecting it and producing it and making it available. And that intervening time has been quite exhilarating, challenging, fascinating, noteworthy, historical in its nature. In that we've seen people rise up in different places and to varying degrees, and it affects, and it's been very polarizing. But the polarization is something that was already totally a thing. It feels like polarization has just been what it means to be in society for a few years now. And everything is like life or death. And I'm not saying that to be glib, because I really believe that it is life or death. You know, that a lot of these topics that we're talking about are absolutely life or death. Life or death at the hands of the police. Life or death at the hands of people who hate you. I wrote a song about that one. Life or death in terms of this outbreak, the disease, arguing about what we should or shouldn't do about it. You know, what kills more people, staying at home and committing suicide or going out and infecting each other? It's anybody's guess who's not a scientist. Now I say that is actually glib. I think we just have to try and be safe. We have to try and be safe. And there's one battle that's personal, that's been personal. I want to talk about healthcare in the UK. Trains be damned. COVID obviously has done a number on the hospitals. COVID has derailed all elective surgeries. There are people who are actually dying, and that's horrible. I'm not talking over them, but I have to talk to you about something specific that affects me, that I understand better because I'm in the middle of it, so I understand it. The Tories, the Conservatives who have been in government here in the UK for the last over a decade, have done a number on the NHS, cutting spending year on year on year as costs go up, leading to longer wait times, gutting the NHS from the inside. You know, there are some people who believe that it's in an effort to privatize, and that very well could be the case. And if so, I don't think I could afford to carry on living here, to be frank, because that sounds disastrous to me. And I'm a freelance person, which means I probably wouldn't be able to get medical insurance through my job, and I'd be absolutely screwed. Anyway, that's another topic for another day. I want to talk about trans healthcare right now and the effects that COVID has had on the wait times and what it means. So, the advice of UK doctors is that it should be 18 weeks from when you go to see your GP and tell them that you think you're trans to when you get to talk to a specialist about that very same thing. And in practical terms, before COVID started, on average the wait times were about 2 years around the country, and where I live in the southwest, a bit longer, 3 years. Which, you know, anyone who can do math will tell you that's a lot more than 18 weeks, many times over. And now after COVID, we're talking 6 years to 10 to 12 years, somewhere nobody can really tell because it's all stopped. Those facilities have basically just stopped. They haven't been seeing their waiting lists, and the waiting lists have just been growing to the point where now they estimate that it's somewhere, they're not sure, somewhere between 6 and 10 years, 6, 10, 12 years to get that initial consult, just to be able to see a doctor for the first time, to get an assessment. And what's the problem with this? Well, why is it 18 weeks? Why is it 18 weeks that the doctors advise in the first place? It's because from the point when you decide that you're trans and you start trying to live, as your true self, going unsupported is perilous. It's very, very difficult. It's incredibly taxing. That's why I took myself out of that position by securing hormones my own way as soon as I possibly could. That is a privilege. The privilege of not being completely isolated and having having enough money to be able to pay someone to give me hormones. However, it's so far beyond acceptable. And there are few of us. We make up a tiny percentage of the population. And because we do, we need help. We need help from the rest of the LGBT community. We need help from straight people too, to write to your MPs, and to let them know that it's unacceptable what's going on. And that would be that would be my whole video, except that it's worse. It's worse than that. You've probably heard of this children's author that I won't name. The children's author who will not be named, who really has a bee in her bonnet about coming for us. A phenomenon widely known among lefties as punching down. She really, really loves punching down from her gilded castle at us. And it's pretty sick, to be honest. It's pretty sick. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that either. She is part of a group, an organized group. This organized group, mostly middle-aged people who consider themselves to be feminists, so they're nothing of the kind. Please do not confuse the issue. They're definitely not actual feminists, because they do not espouse the rigors of feminism. They believe in policing people's appearance, which is a very unfeminist thing to do. And that's just scratching the surface. Here in the UK, they hold cabinet positions. They hold various cabinet positions, and they are going quietly and away from the BBC and away from the Guardian. They are going after trans rights in the Parliament. And we really need your help in opposing them, because they have dismissed our voices of opposition, saying that we're just a bunch of trans people who are activists, so therefore they can ignore us. And so we need for cis people to also get in touch with their MPs and tell them that this is unacceptable. Now, I can imagine where you might think that there's a lot of things that are going on, and why should you prioritize this one? Well, you don't have to I don't need you to drop everything you're doing and only do this from now until forever. It's more like take 5 minutes to write to your MP, tweet to your MP, write to me and ask me what to say. It doesn't have to be a massive effort, but it's more important than you realize, and it's and it's worse than you think. The situation is worse than you realize, because until you're subjected to it, it's kind of hard to realize how bad it really is. Anyway, that is all. Much love, admiration, sunshine, July. I hope you are well.